Ah.
Hey everyone, I'm Jason Flom, and his meter's running. Still got a lot of living to do. Peter Tijan. He never knows how I'm going to introduce him.
Thanks, Jason.
Yep. Today on the big show, it's kind of a double episode slash. One part of the episode is this, the other half is this. Yes, so we're going to, to get your Kiss fix, we're going to talk about the new Off the Soundboard release with Mark St. John from the Animalize tour, and then we're going to segue, and we have a cool segue too.
We arrived at this idea. Yeah, we arrived at this idea because when that was going down, Animalize tour was going down, these guys were just getting it together, doing demos and stuff, and playing a couple early club shows and whatnot. So
much so that this took place on November 28th. First FREHLEY'S Comet show, November 30th. In the same state, New York. Also, this recorded in John Regan, rest in peace, by the way, John Regan's hometown. So there's some connections there. We're going to make them. Stay tuned. So we're going to talk about Kiss first because, hey, this is a Kiss podcast, right? So let's talk about the Animalize tour a bit. You were talking about the Ipswich show. So Animalize obviously came out in '84. The tour starts. Mark St. John is down with arthritis, can't play. They enlist Mr. Bruce Kulick, and he starts the tour with him in England with Bon Jovi opening. And they play a show in Ipswich in October, which he happens to have right here.
I got a high-class bootleg of that.
High class.
And, silverback and really nice cover and stuff. I think it's great. I have to say, it's a nice soundboard recording, and I think it's better than this, I'm going to say, because I think this show's a little rough. And I think, they released this and we all want to hear it because it's got Mark on it. But it's a bit rough. Even the kind of mix, which is, of course, a haphazard mix at the time because the guy on the cassette deck probably hit and record, not really knowing exactly what's going through. But I feel like this might be somewhat mixed, multi-tracked or something, because it sounds good.
I think that was a radio broadcast, correct?
It is, yeah.
And this was not meant for release. This was not mixed whatsoever.
That was the band just recording stuff.
Yeah, this was just like, let's hear how Mark sounds tomorrow when we listen to it.
All the F words are taken out of this one.
Ooh, there's a lot of them too.
That's a lot.
At this point.
Paul in the mid-'80s, that's a lot. But for me, this is what I would have done. It would be 2 Animalize shows. I would have put this one on vinyl because it sounds really good. And then I would have had a CD version for all those vinyl snobs that don't ever want to buy the CD, but you make them buy the CD because you put this first. And then you put the second show. I think that's what I would have done if I was in the Kiss camp. I'd love to work for the Kiss camp, by the way, and have ideas, have ideas with those guys like that. But
yeah.
But I think it's kind of a rough show, basically. So basically, as a review, I don't really want to judge it too hard because Mark only got to play on stage with me a few times, and it's
a little back information. So one day before this, there was like a 3-show trilogy of Mark playing with them. The day before this, in Baltimore, Bruce started the show. 5 songs.
Oh, yeah, that's a dual show.
Yeah, 5 songs. Then Mark came on, Under the Gun was his first song. Played 5 songs. And then Bruce came back for the encores. Now, I'm not sure why they did it that way. Like, why did they decide 5 songs into the set with Bruce? Hey, we're going to give Mark a shot. It's weird.
That's pretty weird, half and half.
It's one of the strangest nights in history, if you ever ask me.
When you think about, in the late 70s, how strong those characters were and how it's just this magic pop culture comic book thing happening. And now they got 2 guys that nobody really knows hardly who either guy is switching off on stage.
I wonder if they even announced
That's
it.
Pretty
like,
weird.
We're letting Mark St. John take over. It's like, who knows?
I mean, I guess the hardcore fans knew who Mark was because he was on the album that just came out, obviously.
Yeah. And then why did Mark stop playing and then Bruce come back for the encores?
Maybe he was hurting.
Yeah. Keep in mind, he had arthritis in his hands.
When I was growing up, I read that, and I thought, well, they said that because they just
I know.
didn't like his playing.
I remember thinking it was a lie, too.
I thought it was a lie. The whole thing was a lie, and I thought it just didn't work out with him, and they didn't want to badmouth him, and...
Okay, I don't think it was a lie. It was a real thing,
Yeah.
but I think they kind of played it up towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think they just kind of realized Bruce is the better fit.
Bruce fit well. He's just tight, you know.
Yeah. So that was in Baltimore, this whole dual guitar thing. The next night, though, they decided to give Mark a chance. And this was his first full show with the band. Poughkeepsie, New York, November 28th, 1984. And then the next night... they played Binghamton, New York, and then let Mark play again. And then there was a couple days off. And then according to an interview, or excuse me, a question and answer. Have you watched the question and answer thing from a Kiss Expo with Mark?
I did watch it. It's been a few years, though.
According to him, he was let go in Indianapolis, which would have been the show after these 3 shows. He was told, you know, pack your bags. So then Bruce officially got the gig. And thankfully, because Bruce was the perfect guy for it.
Has Kiss, like Paul or anybody, really went into detail with an in-depth interview about this show and about how it went down?
Show?
I haven't really heard anything.
No, not really.
I mean, maybe they're recording shows at this point to see which one they like better, really. Yeah. That's why this was recorded.
A week and a half after this, and by the way, I did some research. This took place on a Wednesday. And the following Saturday, so a week and a half later, was Animalize Live Uncensored. So they might have been recording shows to hear how they sounded.
True, yeah.
Prepping for that. So this is Mark's first full show with the band. And it shows.
It's historical.
It shows.
It's historical. It's awesome that it's out, but it is rough, you know.
That's exactly why I got released, because of the history involved in this. So I'll run through the set list really quick. It's not much different than Animalize Live Uncensored, but it doesn't have Thrills in the Night. They haven't added that to the set yet. They would in the next week. Detroit Rock City, Cold Gin, Creatures of the Night, Fits Like a Glove, Heaven's on Fire, guitar solo, which was Paul doing his little, you know what he does. Under the Gun.
I love that line.
Under the Gun, War Machine, drum solo by Eric. Young and Wasted, which is edited. We'll get to that. The bass solo, you gotta love Gene's bass solo on the Animalize tour. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. Yeah.
I Still Love You, Love Gun, Black Diamond. Oh, Susanna.
Wait.
Yeah, the bass solo. You can't get it out of your mind. Look it up.
Oh, wait, let me hum some more of it.
Look it up and rock her all night. So, yeah, it's your basic Animalize.
I Still Love You?
It was on there, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, thoughts on this?
Pretty much the same thing, Milwaukee.
Oh, he's got the Milwaukee bootleg.
You got Milwaukee show.
That's from December 30th.
It's a crowd tape, or 28th.
It's about a month after
30th.
this.
It is the 30th, but it's a crowd tape. But it's a really good crowd tape. If you want to hear something up a notch from the Poughkeepsie, it's a really nice one.
Yeah, crowd tape better than a soundboard.
And if you look up Ipswich, it's a little under an hour because it was probably programmed for radio for some commercials and everything. The order's funky. Some songs are missing. It's about 47, 48 minutes.
I've Had Enough is on there.
But it's badass.
Yeah, badass.
Yeah, it is. Sounds great.
Yeah. This is proof positive that Bruce is the right guy for the band. He fit in right away. Okay, so Poughkeepsie, the first thing I noticed when I put this on, and you notice it in the first 2 seconds, no introduction. There's no, you wanted the best, you got the best. Obviously it was there, but...
He probably didn't record it in time.
Or that.
Because there was some tape off.
Or that, yeah. So Detroit starts. First thing I noticed was they started off with the guitars, obviously. And it's normal pace, And then the drums kick in and kick it to a whole higher level.
Well, Eric was literally into Metallica. You know what I mean? And Gene, we've heard stories where Paul's kind of fighting Gene, saying that speed isn't energy. It's just, you know what I mean? Gene's wanting to bring the energy in some of these older songs. And even, sort of recently here, when Paul talks about this era, he talks about he thinks stuff was too fast. I love the fast. I love the fast versions. I love it,
Yeah.
But But there's a lot of fast tempos in this era here.
There's definitely fast tempos. Everyone who's watched Animalize live at Sensor knows that, and this is no exception. So next we got, let me say this about Detroit Rock City. So, you know, it's the first song where you're like, oh, I wonder how Mark St. John is going to play the solo. I do not like his added notes in the solo.
Yeah.
You know
it feels a little botched or something.
Yeah, I don't like it.
They're not playing together well, I guess, you know.
Yeah, so, I mean, at the same time, you can't blame him. It's his first full show with them. It's actually the first time he's been on stage playing Detroit Rock City with them.
You know, and he's just so very, very capable. You know what I mean? It's the creativity just bubbling up, like on the Animalize album. You can tell shit is just bubbling out, spurting out, and Paul Stanley probably had to, you know, try hard to contain that and kind of help shape it. But
that's been well documented.
Yeah, for sure. but man, those are some great solos, and I think we've said this on another episode, but he messes around within his modes, and he just uses his scales in a really cool way, you know.
Yes.
He's not just playing pentatonic, like he knows his stuff, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So he gets out there on the stage finally, and
he was a guitar teacher.
He's blowing his load, you know.
So yeah, but I don't like the way you don't change up Detroit Rock City solo. You just don't do it.
It sounds sloppy with Paul.
Even if it's an added note, you just don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
Okay, so and who knows? Maybe he wasn't even changing it up. Maybe he thought that's the way it went. Who knows? He wasn't a Kiss fan.
Maybe if he got to play another dozen shows, you know, they would be able to talk about this stuff with him.
Yeah, exactly.
It just didn't happen.
So keep that in mind, people. This is his first full show with the band. It's like, I'm cutting him some slack, okay? This isn't a rank on Mark St. John episode or anything like that, you know.
His soloing is badass, and even his soloing is rough on here. But man, he tries for really cool creative stuff. You know, he is a really cool player. But
yeah. Up next would be Cold Gin, and I love this version of Cold Gin. And I've watched other reviews of this CD, and people like give Gene praise, and rightfully so. Gene is on this show. His vocals. It's funny because, you know, Gene's up there, no makeup, wig, you know, very demon show. His voice. Wow.
Dude, I love Gene's voice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Between Creatures and Asylum or so, Gene's voice is just great, you know.
Yeah.
Both their voices in that era. I love the era. I love the sound. I love everything in that era musically. I love the sound of Eric's drums. He had little dots. He had those, the Remo dots, I think, a lot of the time. He had a certain drum sound. They were using EMGs at this point. I love everything about the sound of the era, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, Cool Gin. Thumbs up for me. It's a great version. Creatures of the Night. Again, you know, when I always think of Creatures on the Animalize tour, I think of how it wasn't on the MTV broadcast. But when the VHS came out, it was like, yes.
Yeah.
Good version. I have no problems with that. Fits Like a Glove, I think, is actually really good. I think Fits Like a Glove is the one where I think I can hear Mark on background vocals. You can hear Eric throughout this whole thing on background vocals. That's very loud and prominent. But yeah, It Fits Like a Glove is great. Heaven's on Fire is kind of a train wreck, if you ask me. Paul's vocals, they're rough. And
on this tape, it's probably a 2-track tape, where like a cassette, where they just hit record, and whatever's coming through, that's what goes to tape, and it goes like that, and it's trapped like that. You know, if you know about recording, it's not multi-tracked. You can't really change it later. And on this, in general, Paul's vocals are a bit loud.
They're loud, and so therefore his mistakes
are apparent. And it is a bit of a rough show for him vocally, I suppose. For me, compared to Ipswich,
there is one song he nails, though. We'll get to that.
On here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Heaven's on Fire is rough, and there's even a part towards the end where Mark forgets to play, you know, when they break it down, and it's, you know, the G chord, and it's only Gene playing, and Mark forgets to play. I don't, maybe it was a technical issue, who knows, but anyway, it's Heaven's on Fire, you know. Guitar solo, Paul, what's he do? But then he picks it up and he goes in Under the Gun. And Under the Gun on here is a frantic mess. That's what it is. It's one of the fastest, heaviest things you'll ever hear Kiss do.
That's got a lot of Eric on the backing vocal in the chorus.
Yeah, it's still cool. I mean, you know, it's Kiss in the mid-'80s. It's cool, and it's cool to hear Mark play a solo that he actually played on the album. So it's Mark in familiar territory. War Machine's next. War Machine's awesome. Gene, of course, in top form. The drum solo.
It's good. It's pretty much the same drum solo as...
I always refer to you when we talk about drums. Yeah, it is pretty much the same.
It is pretty much. He had a written drum solo for sure, you know.
Yeah.
And it's great. And he pulled it off, really.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, you'll never hear... I couldn't think more highly of a human being than I think of Eric Carr. So when I say, oh, the tempo's too fast or whatever, I mean, who cares, really? You know, it's like, Eric Carr's amazing.
I think of it like this. Well, there's a show where the tempo's extra fast, and it's kind of cool in its own way for that, you know.
Yeah.
So...
And then that goes into Young and Wasted.
Because I'm a drummer and people yell at me for the same thing. Come on, man. Fast is cool, bro. Come on, take it easy. This casino don't mind.
This casino don't mind.
You know, paying us a bunch of money. It's fine, dude.
Yeah. That sounds like it was from the Who tribute band.
I played in a couple tributes at casinos.
All right. So Young and Wasted is next, and it's edited. They mentioned it here in the production notes. So it sounds like a train wreck when it begins, and then it cuts to the solo. Mark soloing all over the place. And so it's really hard to get a gist of what that song is like. So we'll just kind of skip that.
It comes back in for, what, third verse or second verse? I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the bass solo for 10 minutes?
Yeah,
the bass solo is awesome.
Yeah.
Is this the last time Gene played a bass solo?
Is it the last time Paul played a guitar solo?
Woo! History being made.
That's crazy.
History is caught on vinyl and CD.
Dude, I think the Animalize tour is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, so Gene, you know, after this, I mean, maybe he did on the Asylum tour, I don't know, but yeah, he you know, he spits blood and he just hits notes, you know, which is cool.
Yeah.
But this is, I like this.
It's got to be musical on here though, because there ain't nothing else going on.
No, there's no.
And it's great, man.
There's no blood spitting going on here. So I Love Aloud's next. I mean, how do you mess up I Love Aloud? Even Dr. Love did a good version of that.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so I Still Love You. Paul nails this song.
Yeah.
It's a great version of this song.
It is good on there. Yeah.
Somebody, I think maybe Dr. Fuck or somebody, I watched a review. He even said, like, that's one of the best versions of I Still Love You I've heard. If it wasn't him, I apologize. But somebody said that, and...
Don't say somebody said something nice.
No. This is a great version of I Still Love You. Paul's vocals soar. He's got some effects on the little chorus part. But, yeah, not effects like you would have now, but back then, just to kind of, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, I Still Love You is amazing, and it's good to hear Mark play a nice kind of slower, bluesier solo, and he does it well. Props to Mark for that. Love Gun is Love Gun. Black Diamond is Black Diamond. Oh, Susanna.
Black Diamond is Black Diamond?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Slightly. Oh, Susanna. Officially the oldest song Kisses ever recorded.
The oldest song. You know, way before the first album.
The song was recorded literally in 1847. I looked it up.
What, Kiss Junior, Senior, or whatever? What was that from the Exposed?
Oh, it's Joseph Kiss Senior.
Yeah, he wrote it.
Yeah, no, it's an old-timey song. It was called a minstrel song back in the day. Yeah, they don't do the vocal part of it, but if they did, look up those lyrics online.
I mean, what could be more Kiss than that? You know?
And I've heard people say, like, why'd they do Oh Susanna? It's like,
fun.
They're just fooling around.
It's fun. I get a heavy prog group, and we do Mexican radio.
Oh, do you?
I mean, what are you going to do? You know? We do God of Thunder also. We have a couple covers that we
so
do.
You do Mexican radio, like, seriously? Or, like...
We do the song.
Oh.
And we do Mr. Crowley. Our 3 covers that we've been doing this last couple of years, and we just interchange them if you want to throw a cover on for something someone will actually like, is Mr. Crowley, Mexican Radio, and God of Thunder. So normally I'm voting for God of Thunder, but I brought Mexican Radio in the mix anyway. Because why not? We're heavy metalish, hard rock prog.
Voodoo.
But why not? We might even do Oh Susanna if we want.
Andy Preboy was the guy in that. Yeah, right. Yeah. See, I know my Mexican radio.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, right So yeah, Oh Susanna, it's just fun. I mean, they come out for the encore, they're loose, they're feeling loose, they just kind of fool around, you know. I've heard them do that. They've done, you know, like they fooled around with other songs too, you know. But this one was pretty serious though. They kind of did it throughout the whole tour. Lick It Up is next. And this is Lick It Up.
When you think about what they could have been doing though, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
the thing.
dude, they could have been doing two-timers.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's the thing. I mean, they're just fooling around though. I mean, yeah. Is it even 2 minutes? Probably not. Lick It Up is next. Won't Get Fooled Again. That was more like Asylum Tour era. But it's still cool. You know. Keep in mind, Lick It Up was like a recent hit for them. So
very recent.
Here it is, like first true song in the encore.
Just months old. Yeah.
And then Rock Roll Night closes it out, of course. It's incomplete on here, so it's hard. So
oh god,
here's the disc.
You have to return that now.
Yeah. So yeah, Rock Roll Night's incomplete. It's hard to get a gist of what that's about. But let's talk about Mark St. John just for a few minutes. So you know, he got the boot after the following show.
Yeah.
Binghamton was after this. And Bruce took over, of course. Thank God.
I love Mark, man.
See, the thing...
You're a Bruce fan, and I am too, but Mark was great in a different way. You know,
yeah, but...
they wanted a shredder at that. They wanted, you know...
So Mark leaves the band, and, well, was asked to leave the band. Yeah. And there's Mark on his shirt. This is the only Kiss shirt you'll see with Mark on it, by the way. Did you ever see the version of this shirt?
It's like a tour shirt. There's a tour version.
They actually put out a version with Bruce's face, right?
On there, yeah.
Anyway,
there's some later tour stuff with Bruce, right?
Yeah. So Mark leaves the band, and early '85, so the very next year, he does some kind of shows. He's probably just trying to prove I can play still. He kind of does some like not tribute shows, but what do you call them? Like all-star jams, like some jazz things, and he's playing in public again. And then he gets together with David Donato. David Donato, if you didn't know, was in Black Sabbath for 6 months or so. Now, whether it was official or unofficial, that's kind of depends on who you believe. But
the picture I saw looked official.
There are some promo pictures that look very official, and thank you, Shane Pinger, for sending me those. He's our resident Black Sabbath expert.
Yeah,
Shane Pinger is. But yeah, he was in the band for, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, and Bob Ezrin produced some demos. This was after Born Again and between Seventh Star. Yeah. So it was, you know, it was before Iommi wanted to put his name on the Black Sabbath moniker and call it his own. But yeah, they tried out David Donato, and things were going well. I mean, Kerrang came in and took photos of them, and probably what you were referring to. And
have you heard the stuff?
Not yet, but there are links on YouTube. And again, Bob Ezra produced some demos, and I would love to hear those. Apparently, those aren't available. I'm
gonna check it out. See what I can find.
Yeah. So that David Donato, he didn't work out. Next thing you know, I believe it was Tony Martin. Well, next thing you know, they did 7 Star with Glenn Hughes, but then Tony Martin was the next singer in Sabbath. Anyway, but so he gets together with David Donato and his brother Michael Norton on bass, and Brian James Fox on drums, and that would be White Tiger. Do you have the ring?
No.
Okay,
no.
So
I wasn't really a big fan.
You weren't a big fan?
No.
Did you?
What do you make of that album?
Did you have the album?
I listened to it, but I didn't listen to it. Didn't really want to buy it.
See,
at the time, I might get it now. I might understand now. Was it good?
At the time,
yeah.
So the thing with the White Tiger came out in '86. This was Mark St. John's band after Kiss, you know. So you've listened to it. Rock Soldiers is a good song. Or excuse me, Rock Warriors.
Yeah, Rock Warriors.
We'll get to the bottom of whether Peter is a rock soldier or rock warrior.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rock Warriors, the opening song on White Tiger is really good. There's some decent stuff on there. Some of the songs are too long, but the album just, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good at all.
Maybe that's why I wasn't why it didn't win me over, I don't know.
Yeah, but you know, when it came out, there they are on the cover. There's Mark, and you know, it's like I got it, and it had this order blank inside for, you know, a White Tiger ring, like, you know, the White Tiger right there, you know, and
White Tiger belt buckle.
Yeah,
White Tiger radio. White Tiger.
White Tiger radio. You know, it was just the ring, and maybe there's some T-shirts or something. I don't know. But anyway, anybody out there buy the ring? And if so, can you send a picture of it, please? Or even better yet, anybody out there have the album? Just send a picture of the order blank. Can they send pictures on YouTube?
I don't think so.
Okay, forget that.
Yeah, forget it. Who cares?
Yeah, but
it's not that good, right?
Let us know if you had it. Did you see White Tiger in concert? Yeah. They did play some shows. That's what I'm getting at. But the bottom line is, they started doing some demos for a second album, and it just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
So White Tiger's done. Mark ends up in a band with who?
Peter
Criss? Yeah, and they were called The Keep, and I've heard their demos and wasn't really impressed, really. So apparently Peter lived with Mark for like a year. And
it's interesting how the Kiss camps just kind of trade people and songs and things back and forth, and roommates.
And in the back of their mind,
hide your heart, you know, just things like this get passed around.
In the back of their mind, they're probably thinking, two guys who used to be in Kiss. I mean, that's going to get some press, you know. Yeah. Well, it didn't really, and no one cared.
Yeah, it'd be like the kind of bad boys of rock.
In fact, when they were shopping the demo around, they were just going by the name Peter Criss.
Oh, they were.
They weren't even going by The Keep.
Yeah,
The Keep was the name of the band. And by the way, this band was basically White Tiger without White Tiger's drummer, but with Peter.
So, I haven't checked it out. I have listened to it. It's been a couple of years since I really.
So yeah, it was still David Donato and Michael Norton on bass. So, but yeah, it didn't work out. And Mark told Peter, apparently, hey, this isn't working out. I need to do something where I can make some money. And Peter got pissed, and friendship ends. Yeah. Okay, and Peter, I don't know. Is that when he became homeless?
And then there was tears.
That's when Peter became homeless. Okay, and then he was on Donahue.
Donahue.
Okay, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're switching gears, aren't we?
Yep.
What do you want to show?
So at this time, Ace Frehley was just getting together with John Reagan and who else? Anton,
well, the original Frehley's Comet.
Doing demos.
Had John Reagan, Richie Scarlett on second guitar and vocals, Anton Fig on drums, and Arthur Stead on keyboards. Yeah. So the thing was, Ace plays this show, I think it was at SIR Studios in New York City on November 30th, 84. It's kind of like his introduction, like, I'm back, Ace is back and he told you so kind of thing. So he's playing these new songs he came up with and some covers and things like that. And so, I don't know, you've heard it, right? The bootleg's on YouTube. Yeah. Listen to it. It's a rough sound, but he opens up the Rip It Out, and you know, and the video is actually on YouTube, and it's the worst crowd film video I've ever seen. Don't bother watching it, but at least listen to it. But that was him kind of introducing himself. I'm back, and this is what I read, Peter, and this is pretty interesting. He could not contractually release an album until 1985 at least because of Kiss. He would, if he would have lost all his Kiss royalties. He would have lost all his Kiss royalties. I never read that. Really? I swear to God, I read that. So he was
I heard he was trying to get out of contracts with them. It took a whole year after he said, "I'm actually really gone now" in 82-ish. Sometime in 83, it took like almost a year before things were finalized.
From what I read, he was getting a percentage of the cut until 1985.
Yeah, I think Peter got a cut all the way up through Asylum.
Okay. Yeah. So, as far as that first show he played, the only songs that made the cut, ended up on his debut album, were Dolls, Breakout, and I'm looking at the album, so that might have been all, actually. Maybe Stranger in a Strange Line, but I have to check on that. But here's the thing. So talked about this before. When in that 1986, when I got the Heaven Tapes Kiss catalog with all their bootlegs, they had early Ace shows, including a whole week of shows he did in March '85, which immediately I was like, this is before this album came out. This album right here. So I was like, I want to hear Ace now. What's he doing? So I got these shows, and they were fucking amazing. And I fell in love with a lot of these songs already. And there were songs on there like Animal and Give It To Me Anyway by Scarlett, and Audio Video, which is my favorite song from the early demos. Yeah, those early Ace Frehley's Comet shows are amazing. So anyway, so Ace plays these shows in March of '85, and they're amazing. Check them out. Well, actually, you might not be able to. I couldn't find them on YouTube, but I have the cassettes. So they start to gain some record interest, including a UK label called Bronze Records. Peter, you want to take it from here?
Well, they went over there and they recorded some demos for the label. Kind of like, you know, album demos to see what they got. And see what they got to work with. And then Bronze went under.
Yeah, so...
And that was it. They never got to record a full, you know, a final album, so...
Yeah, and by this time, Richie Scarlett had left, right? And they enlisted Mr. Todd Howarth. Todd had played with... he had played with Cheap Trick doing some keyboards, and even Ted Nugent. And he was in a band called 707, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But yeah, Todd's amazing. What a talent this guy is. Keyboards, guitar, vocals, amazing vocals. So it wasn't hard for them to get signed now, because all of a sudden Eddie Trunk steps into the picture. Eddie Trunk, radio personality, everyone knows him.
He was a big fan, and he knew Johnny Z because he went into a record store that he had.
Yeah.
He met him there and got to be friends. And they asked him to come work for Megaforce, and he said, let's get Ace Frehley, and the rest is history on that.
That's why you'll see pictures of Ace signing his record contract with Eddie Trunk sitting right there, and Eddie got executive producer credit on the next Frehley's Comet album. But yeah, he took a huge part of that, and that's why they're friends to this day.
He really, yeah, that's why it's like, oh, you gotta come over. You gotta come over for Thanksgiving.
They're tight.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
always good buds.
So then they commenced recording this album. Ended up coming out in, what we read, May 4th, '87. You know what I got? I got this the day it came out. And you know what else I got the day it came out? The very same day? Open Up and Say Ah.
No, really?
Can you guess what album is still in my rotation?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. From Budget Tapes or Records in Puyallup, Washington. But yeah, so talking about this album. So again, Anton Fig on drums, of course, you know, from Ace's solo album, Dynasty Unmasked. By this point, he's also the David Letterman house drummer.
He knew he was going to have to bow out. I guess that was in the midst of recording. He's, you know, he finished the album, and he did some shows, or
he did some initial shows on this tour, including a live album, which we're going to get to.
And John is the other original member from
John was
from the demo days.
John was with Ace from the beginning of this whole Frehley's Comet thing. John Regan recently passed away.
In fact, those two were the kind of the main ones.
Yeah, definitely. And just for the fact that Ace let John play bass on the albums means he really liked him.
Because Ace liked playing bass.
Yeah, Ace loved it. Gene couldn't play bass on Ace songs. And then Todd Howarth, who we just spoke of. But John Regan, of course, played with Peter Frampton and some other people. He was actually on the Stones' Dirty Work album as well. So yeah, total professional. And Todd Howarth rounded out the quartet there. Okay, so this album comes out and showed the image that they had going on.
The back image?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, to me right now it looks misguided, but that's the way things look then, you know. It was long drapey jackets and, you know, business suits up top with, you know, rockers would have, you know, either jeans down here or leather pants, and I guess, you know, they all got black boots on. I guess Anton's were brown, and Ace said, no, those got to be black, so I guess that's gaff tape on there. I read
that's
that.
Probably exactly what happened.
I read that in one of my books. That's what happened, but I got to say, you know, this album here, as far as, I mean, Kiss albums are way up here. And I have a hard time explaining to people what is so amazing about Kiss records and in their consistency and everything, even with members changing. I especially have a hard time explaining it when, you know, Rock and Roll All Night is the flagship song and these people are thinking this is a 3-chord rocker or whatever. But, so Kiss albums are way up here for me. And this is the closest thing for me to a Kiss album. I mean, this is a really solid album. I think for me, comparing it to the Vinnie Vincent stuff and any of the other Kiss solo albums and bands that are offshoot bands, to me, this is '1.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, we're definitely in agreement. This is the best solo album besides the 4 Kiss solo albums from '78 ever released.
Yeah. For me, from anybody who was involved.
Yeah. A lot of people would say Trouble Walking, and that's a good argument.
It's a rocker album, yeah.
Yeah, but I give this the slight edge. You know, I just do. Yeah. You know, Trouble Walking's great, but that would be my second favorite. But yeah, so this album comes out, and I think was Rock Soldier? No, Into the Night was the first.
Into the Night was the first single.
Yeah.
And I guess Gene calls Megaforce and says, "You guys fucked up. You put out Into the Night. You should have put out Rock Soldiers."
And Gene was right.
Because Ace is back and he told you so, that definitely should have been the first song that people heard, because that's pretty badass.
No, Into the Night's fine.
I love it. I love it. That's a great song. That's a great version.
And again, he was trying to have lightning strike twice. It's a Russ Ballard tune.
And it's a really cool video. I like the video.
Yeah, the video's cool. Fun story about the video. It was filmed on the streets of San Francisco. And I was in high school at the time. And these girls, I think they were cheerleaders or something. They came back from, I don't know, some cheerleading thing they did in San Francisco or something. They're like, Ace Frehley was shooting a video. And
what? Are you serious?
And they showed photos they took from across the street.
Really? And they showed you?
Not necessarily me, but I ended up seeing these photos.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, but
I thought these were like your neighbors.
I didn't know these cheerleaders too well. But yeah, the girls from my school watched this video be filmed Into the Night.
That's cool.
But yeah, again, it's Russ Ballard. He's trying to look for some more success there. Russ Ballard, by the way, let's little history on him. Amazing songwriter. He was in Argent. He was the singer. He sang Hold Your Head Up. Yeah, and Liar and some other songs.
Yeah.
And of course, you wrote Near Groove, which Ace ended up covering. And Ace tries again with Into the Night. And I don't know, mixed results there.
Just because a song is written by somebody, it's definitely not the same type of song. So just because he wrote it, you know, but Rock Soldiers probably would have. And once the single was released, I guess the album did pick up a bit. And they threw out a big campaign, like, let's get this thing out. Hey, things are picking up. And then it died. And then they're like, abandoned campaign. And then they pulled out and said, all right, the album's pretty much gone where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But I just think it's really funny that Gene calls up Megaforce, has the nerve to do that, and tell him, you guys fucked up. You should have put out. It's interesting that he cared that much.
And he listened. And
that makes me wonder, how come if they cared, not just who they're associated with, you know, with their past members, and what they're doing and what quality they're on, because they're always going to be associated with Kiss. They're always going to be in the zines and stuff like this, you know. But obviously he cared, you know. So why didn't Kiss get Frehley's Comet on, you know, Mercury or whatever, you know?
Yeah, there were always rumors that they were trying to get them to tour with them and things like that. Ace, if you believe the rumors and everything, Ace just never wanted to. He didn't want to open up for Kiss, you know? Yeah. And still to this day, those rumors are true. Like,
but still, you'd think maybe he could have got back on the label.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess drinking and stuff affected things there. Probably.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Into the Night's the first single, and it doesn't, you know, it's not one of those, oh my God, like Gene was referring to. It's not like, oh cool, Ace is back, Into the Night. No, Rock Soldiers would have did the trick. You know, maybe even a few other songs from this album. But Into the Night's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's not mind blowing. I wouldn't pick it as.
I love it. I mean, I think it's a great melodic song. I've always really loved it. Rock Soldiers is a really kick-ass way to open the album, though.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It's an introduction.
It's the first song I heard, because unlike you, I didn't have live recordings before the album came out. I was a couple of years younger, and so I was kind of dumb.
Yeah, Rock Soldiers, by the way, wasn't on this live recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Breakout was.
I didn't know how to get a hold of stuff back then like you. I had to lick it up, rough demos and stuff, like with you on it, and some of those songs, you know, Not for the Innocent being played over and over and over, or, yeah. I had the Lick It Up, and what else? I had just 2 or 3 Kiss bootlegs for a long time. I didn't really know where to find them like you did.
Yeah. So, yeah, Breakout was on some of those early shows I heard, and Richie Scarlett sung it then. But, yeah, Breakout, there's my favorite song on the album right there. The best song on the album, I would say, but...
Dude, all side 1. So good. Yeah, I mean, just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, Breakout couldn't have been the first single because Ace doesn't sing it, right?
Yeah, so, you kind of, yeah. Well, yeah, true.
Oh, we forgot to mention Rock Soldiers. Who wrote that song, Peter?
Ace and Chip Taylor.
And what else did Chip Taylor write?
Angel of the Morning.
Yes.
And Wild Thing?
Wild Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently Chip called up Ace and wanted to write a song together. I don't know. They must have been old friends or something. And they came up with Rock
I think
Soldiers.
it was written in the studio. I think Rock Soldiers was written in the studio.
Okay. Yeah. But Breakout, that's the song. So this has origins back to the Elder demos, right? So Eric Carr and Ace wrote the song. It was working title of Heaven. And it was pretty much just an instrumental. Richie Scarlett later on put vocals or lyrics on it and vocals when they did it live. And then...
even though he didn't make it at the album. So Richie Scarlett, his voice and his lead playing, he's great, man. Yeah, I thought his rough voice would have been great on this album, although I love Todd, you know. But Richie Scarlett was great. It's too bad he didn't make it to this, but he was just getting tired that they didn't get a record deal. And I think he left right around the Bronze thing.
Yeah, it's just weird too because Todd and Richie they just have 2 different vibes.
I've heard two totally different stories, very believable. One was that he said, I got tired of waiting around because I needed to do other things because we weren't getting the label. And then someone else said that they let him go because he kind of partied a lot, and that wasn't a great influence for Ace at the time, you know.
And I heard he just wanted to work in the solo career.
So maybe it's a little of both, but I guess Ace was fairly sober during this album. Not really sober, but fairly sober. You know, more so maybe.
Yeah. I mean, this is like serious time for Ace. Like he's got a record deal. He's got a, you know, he's trying to prove to Kiss that he can still do it as well.
I mean, you got the money to record and stuff. You're depending on, you know, Megaforce, but you've got the reach of Atlantic Records because it's distributed by Atlantic, so that's pretty good, you know.
Ace was in a good spot right here.
Yeah,
you know. So.
Oh, also Eddie Kramer recorded it. Did we mention that? And it sounds badass. I mean, that is some big drums with Anton and Eddie Kramer together. Produced by.
Eddie and Ace, yeah.
Because you never heard that on a Kiss record. The Anton Kiss albums were Vinnie Poncia.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
To hear that combination, it's big, you know.
Yeah, and speaking of that, in Breakout, it kind of has that whole rip it out kind of middle section.
They're going for that.
Yeah, big time. So yeah, Breakout is total like great Anton Fig drums, like just a great song by far. Yeah, I can say it. It's my favorite FREHLEY'S Comet song. There's a great video of them performing that with Richie Scarlett, which you sent me a link of. But I've seen it
when
before,
he came back. When he came back, that is a really good. They're just like in the studio doing a playthrough.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Into the Night is the third song, and then
we talked about that.
There's a couple other Todd Howarth songs on here. Something Moved. It's a good heavy track. They thought of it enough to put it on their live EP, which we'll talk about in a second.
And Todd wrote great songs, and man, even his lead guitar playing. It's really cool that Ace did his thing, you know. Ace is Ace, you know. That Todd, he's a pretty polished, even as a lead guitar player. He's very good. It's really cool of Ace to let him have so much.
Polished is a good word to use to describe him. Vocally too. See, that's what I mean. He's the opposite of Richie Scarlett. Richie Scarlett's like a Keith Richards type.
If Richie Scarlett was on here, it could have been a different. Could have been a different album for sure.
Other vibe.
But I mean,
well, that's
I
called
like
Trouble Walking, though.
That's true. I like them both, though. I love Todd. I think his vocals are just
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal, and his playing and his writing is just solid. And
Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way: they were putting Todd songs on here and knocking Ace songs off the album. Some of these songs from these
it
demos
was
we're
solid.
talking about.
And even though we love it, and it is really great, you know, when you hear Ace come in and singing, like on "We Got Your Rock" or something, with that attitude, that snarly ass kind of, you know, I mean, I don't know, it could have been a different thing to the majority of the fans, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we love Todd. I don't know. Todd, to me, Todd has a, he reminds me of that singer that comes in to the group later in the career, that polished guy, you know what I mean? Comes in, replaces Ian Gillan or replaces whoever in Yngwie Malmsteen's band, or you know what I mean? I'm talking about Joe, you know, but like really polished, great singer, very talented, has a commercial edge, maybe a little too much commercial edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he puts that twist on this album, and I think it's great. I think it's really enjoyable.
We'll get to that commercial edge when we talk about the next album.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, Todd, amazing. We Got Your Rock is next. So I guess it's a cover song. There's a band called Sin that demoed it in the early 80s. And Ace heard this and produced this. Here, fun facts. Produced by Dana Strum. And I read that Tommy Thayer sings backup vocals on it. Yeah.
Wow.
I can't confirm that, but I did read it. But listen to the version of We Got Your Rock by Sin. It's so early 80s metal. It's ridiculous.
It's Loverboy or what?
Yeah. Well, Loverboy metal.
We were listening to 707 earlier. Boy, that's some Rick Springfield shit right there.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Speaking of 707 and Rick Springfield, Calling to You is a 707 song. That was Todd Howard's band in the early 80s. They had a minor hit with it, actually. It wasn't called Calling to You then, it was called Megaforce.
And they wanted to change it because Ace just thought it was silly. That the record,
he thought it was funny.
It's going to sound like we're singing about a record label.
Yeah, so they changed it to Calling to You and changed the chorus, and I think that's where Ace got his... Ace got some co-writing
Casablanca. I mean, would you do that?
Oh yeah, 707.
Mercury.
707, Todd Howard's band was on Casablanca.
The first album.
And then later on Boardwalk, Neil Bogart's label. But yeah, so
there's the connection there.
Yeah,
that's
see,
for sure.
connections.
Sure.
We're all about making
also,
connections.
Corky Stasik's on here too.
Yeah.
Recognize assistant engineer or something on here. So Kramer, buddy.
Yeah.
So We Got Your Rock. I've always loved that. I think that's a great tune.
Definitely, without a doubt. That was a big showstopper back in the early FREHLEY'S Comet days, live-wise. Love Me Right's a fun song. I love how there's some vocal interplay towards the end. The whole "Please Don't Bite" part. There's a lot of humor lyrically on this album, even in "We Got Your Rock" and "Dolls" and things like that. So yeah, Dolls. You like Dolls?
I love Dolls.
Yeah,
I know you're not as huge a fan of Dolls.
I'm not as huge a Dolls fan as him.
Yeah. I've always loved Dolls.
I do like Personality Crisis, though. That's a really good song.
I think it's really cool that Ace had the integrity to write Dolls. It's just this weird little tune, you know, and I think it's really cool that...
And even cooler that he let his daughter sing.
I think it's really cool that he'd go there. It's really cool. I always love the mood of that tune. Yeah, and Eddie Kramer's son
daughter.
or son-in-law, or...
No, I think it was his daughter. Yeah. And I want to say John Regan's daughter, too, or something like that. But yeah, so that's cool. You know, you can hear them too. You can actually hear their daughter singing at the end. I mean, it's a fun song. I mean, you know.
I love it. You know, the story on that supposedly is power goes out. He grabs an acoustic, goes in her room. He's working on a song. There's literally Dolls in there, and it's just like, you know,
the song took care of itself.
Yeah.
And Dolls and the next song, Stranger in a Strange Land, are the only songs.
Love that.
The only songs that Ace wrote by himself for this album. Yeah, Stranger in a Strange Land.
Stranger is so good.
Yeah.
That song. That is a go-to song. Sometimes when I'm not in the mood to hear the first few songs, you know, I'll go straight to Stranger because it's a lot. There's a lot of attitude in that tune. I love it.
Yeah, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, besides Rock Soldiers and maybe Breakout, Stranger's like the song this album's known for. He's did it live throughout the years, occasionally. It's a great song.
Kick ass, yeah.
People talk about Gene singing about sex in the 80s. Ace was right up there, man. It's like, even on the next album.
This album is nasty.
It kind of is. Yeah. So, yeah, great song. I could picture, if Ace was still in Kiss, I could picture that being on the Kiss album.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
right there after Radar for Lovers.
Yeah, so like, here's the Kiss song. Here's the Ace song in the album, right?
Yep, totally.
Yeah, great song. And then it ends with Fractured 2, T-O-O, the sequel to Fractured Mirror. And I will say, this is the only, because obviously he puts instrumentals on all his albums, doesn't he?
Yep.
This is the only one where it actually sounds like he's trying to write a sequel to Fractured Mirror. They're kind of similar.
The other ones are just acoustic-y.
Yeah, well, the acorn spinning on the next album's kind of rocking, but yeah, they're not necessarily reminiscent of Fractured Mirror.
That's another cool thing that Ace always does. He puts an instrumental in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Kiss wouldn't do that. They know there's a lot at stake, I guess.
Car jam.
You know what I mean? That's true, but that's for a different reason.
Yeah.
But they're not going to put some beautiful little instrumental at the end of Animalize or something.
No.
But it's cool that he does. It's cool that again, it's cool that he goes there.
And they're always quality songs, you know. And this is actually really good, Fractured 2. So yeah, I mean.
So Jason, what do you think about this cover?
Compared to the next one, I love it. So is that a segue into this?
Well,
this atrocious mess?
I just noticed recently, because I just grew up with it. I noticed recently this kind of got the Kiss, the Alive 2, the red down to the yellow.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing a play off of Kiss without using the font and just showing that he belongs to that camp, you know.
Exactly. And they even kept it for the next album.
You know, I'll show you what I like on this cover. What I like is, I like the logo. It's pretty cool. I mean, you know, it's pretty cool.
Look good on a shirt.
But I do wish these album covers were a little, wish had something more going on.
Yeah, there's not much going on there.
Yeah.
Especially this. This is just like some stock NASA photo, right?
Yeah.
It's like Carl Sagan.
That's a Carl Sagan album cover. Totally, that's it.
Carl Sagan speaks about space. So this is their second album, second sighting.
Second sighting, I think we both agreed, we don't really have to do a full-on track by track. It's more commercial, it's more radio friendly, there's a little more Todd, and I think the Todd songs are great, especially on side one. I think those are some great Todd songs.
Yeah, so it starts out with Insane.
Insane's great.
Insane, I believe that was the first video, right? Yeah, it's great, great Ace song.
I heard that some guy sent him a demo. Have you heard this?
No.
I heard this whole thing with this guy just bitching for like 45 minutes on YouTube. Yeah, man, I sent Ace Frehley a demo, Insane, blah, blah, blah. And then the record comes out and there's my song.
Okay.
Have you heard that?
Yeah, I think I did.
Who is that?
I don't know.
But I bet it just made him feel insane, though.
I know it was co-written by a guy named Gene Moore. But, yeah, so Insane's great, though. And fuck the guy on YouTube who thinks he wrote it. You know what I mean? Time Ain't Running Out's a great Todd song. My favorite Todd song from the album, actually. Dancing with Danger is a cover. I guess we are doing a track by track. Really quick. Really quick.
No, Dancing with Danger is good, especially if it had actual drums on it.
And
it's got the mood of a Relentless drum machine kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But what is this? Sort of like 88? If it was 84, maybe that'd be like, you know, kind of Human League-ish or something. Yeah. But I don't know.
And keeping in
put some drums on
Ace's tradition of a cover song per album, it is a cover song. Not by Russ Ballard this time, by Streetheart. And I read that Dana Strum produced that too. So he produced...
Yeah, but was Mark St. John on it somehow?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Did they play with Peter Criss later?
But Dancing with Danger, I actually loved it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun tune. I just wish there were real drums on it.
Yeah. It's obvious there's not.
Yeah.
It's Over Now is a great Todd ballad.
I think it's great. Yeah.
And this is where people come up with the, oh look, Megaforce label on this one. Megaforce on this, Atlantic on...
We got Atlantic on the EP.
And what's on the first album? I think it's
Megaforce, isn't it?
We'll find out in 1 second. It's Megaforce.
Oh, it's black.
It's different, but it's Megaforce.
Black Megaforce.
Yeah, It's Over Now is a great Todd ballad.
This is making me feel like it's a Zeppelin record right here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's Over Now. That's where I think a lot of people start saying it's like a Todd Howard solo album.
I mean, that is a pretty sappy keyboard ballad. If you, in the video, Ace, I mean, that's a Todd song. Vocals, solo, everything, really.
Yeah, just for the fact there's a video of it.
The story is Todd and a girl in the video.
Yeah.
But man, that's a great tune. But I can understand why rocker dudes, especially the 13, 14-year-old ones, were like, you know, what is this? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. It's great music.
Yeah, it's a good song. It's not what I go to when I first put on this album, but it's good.
I probably the other day I was listening to this album and I put it, you know, it's over now on. I probably listened to it 5 or 6 times in a row. It's a great tune.
Yeah. There's 3 other Todd songs on this album that I don't think live up to what, or excuse me, 2.5 Todd songs because Ace and Todd duet on one of them. But I don't think those other ones will totally live up to the side one. Todd
I'd call
songs.
them pretty good.
Yeah,
so that's personally I would say. Also, Jamie Oldacre, he was Clapton's drummer.
Okay, so yeah.
He's the drummer. He's on like a 48.
Oh, yeah, 461
Boulevard. Yeah, totally. He's on all those Clapton
He's
records.
on Slow Hand. He's on
Absolutely.
Atlas.
Oh yeah, he's badass.
He's toured with him.
Yeah,
he was on
badass.
some Bob Seger albums too.
So he's not on I Shot the Sheriff because that's Jim Fox from James Gang, but he's on I think the rest of the songs on the album. And the rest of the album is groovy too. Jim Fox is hard to beat because he's really funky.
James Gang.
But the rest of the album, really grooves, and it's because of this guy. So
Yeah, so
it's cool they had him.
So Ace must have loved having Eric Clapton's drummer in his band.
That's cool. That's cool.
So yeah, so Anton obviously with David Letterman commitments had to bow out, and so they got Jamie Oldacre, and he did the tour too, to record this album to play the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that album cover.
It's quite an album cover. The worst part of it really is this italic, like.
Really? Could you get any more plain?
Yeah, it's pretty kind of a beginner font there, and
Yeah.
italic at that.
No thought went into. So that's the knock on this album. It's like a rush job, right? From the cover.
It looks like it, yeah.
As far as the music, we should mention the 2 Ace songs on side 2 are really good, actually. Juvenile, Delinquent, and Separate.
There's nothing on here that I really think is bad. It's just not quite up with the first album. A lot of side 1 is really great though, but.
And it seems like it's kind of rushed, I think. Acorn is Spinning is the instrumental of the album. And it kind of tells this funny story about this whole boxing thing. Ace doing this New York accent. It's pretty,
Yeah.
yeah. It's good.
And you know, it's not Eddie Kramer.
This is not Eddie Kramer. It's produced by FREHLEY'S Comet and Scott
I mean,
Mabuchi.
that guy might have been badass, but Eddie Kramer's Eddie Kramer.
Yeah, so this album is missing something.
Yeah, Eddie Kramer.
And yeah, so,
Probably.
and Anton.
Probably, yeah.
Not that Jamie's not adequate, but yeah. So there they are on the back. Look at them. All right. Kind of a different image, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, they're looking a little more rock. They're looking a little more Guns N' Roses here.
Yeah,
88?
Ace's shirt even says rock and roll on it.
So Appetite is what, 88?
87.
It is 87.
Yeah,
See, Guns N' Roses is already affecting things.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I have the 7-inch here
Oh yeah, he's got stuff to show.
with Fractured 2.
Yeah.
Get the 7-inch, and I want to pick up the 7-inch for.
Oh, a different Atlantic label there.
Yeah, got the red. You see this a lot, the red and black at this era. But yeah, that's cool. And I do have, there's a really cool, if you pick up this, what is this, November? Yeah, November 87 Hit Parader. It's got Crew on the front. If you pick this up, it's got a really cool thing about Ace, right as he's coming back. The album has been out, like what, 5-6 months, something like that. But
talk about the guitar right there.
it's got a cool, this photo shoot here was used a lot at this point early in the days, and that's the Washburn AF40. Ace Frehley 40, and he wasn't 40 yet, so what's that 40 stand for? He was like, what, 38 at this point, something like that?
Ace was born in 51.
Yeah, so
yeah.
But I guess this guitar that you can see in the Into the Night video just didn't stay in tune, you know. That's so cool that it says Ace on the guitar. It has his logo on the guitar. It has the lightning bolt.
Is that the guitar he had in the Laney amps?
Yes,
okay.
in the Laney ad too.
First time I seen him without makeup.
Yeah, and you can get some promo posters. They're kind of spinny now, but I just think that guitar is so cool. You know, what a really cool guitar.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
Didn't stay in tune, I guess, and so he just went back to the Les Pauls pretty quick. But
Yeah.
you know, so this is a living legend. Space Ace shows he's still got what it takes on Fraley's Comet. So pretty cool.
Will you read the whole article to us?
I'll read the Motley Crue article. How about that?
Motley Crue, what a joke.
Then I have some really cool fanzines from this era. This is Kiss Classics. I got a handful of issues of these, but these came out right when Fraley's Comet was hitting. So right in here, it says Fraley's Comet will release their first single on April 27th. The single, which will most likely be In the Night.
That was the original title.
Comes with a picture sleeve. Check out the sleeve because the cover of the sleeve will be the back cover of the LP.
Hey, you showed that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Fraley's Comet is ready for release. The date is blah, 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 blah. So, talks about dolls and how Monique and Eddie Kramer's son are on it. And got a little Mark Slaughter interview. These are pretty cool. You're not going to get these interviews anywhere else. I mean, these guys went out and did these interviews at shows. It's got quite a bit on Richie Scarlett in here. And Richie Scarlett had not come back into the band. I found that kind of interesting that the Kiss crew, they're just so into it. They know this guy played on Ace Frehley demos, and they're just following everything this guy does. At the time, he wasn't even on an Ace record. So there's more Scarlett down here. And there's another cool picture with a 40 Washburn. And there's a little bit more in here. It's another Ace cover, and it's got the Fraley's Comet logo over here. I kind of like the logo better without the planet behind it. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, it works.
Yeah. This one's got a really cool Peter Criss interview too. This is number 4, August, September.
What year would this be?
87.
Okay.
And then here's another picture with his little foofy hair in the AF40.
And long jacket.
Yeah. 1987, the long jacket. I guess, you know, Paul's, Tears Are Falling robe and all that.
Yep.
So it's got cool notes from the band in here, Fraley's Comet. Billy Ward's on drums at this point.
Billy Ward.
Great player. Todd Hogworth interview, and then quite a long Peter Criss interview that goes 3 pages. So, but pretty cool. Pretty cool to have this and read about this like it's just about to happen. The album's about ready to come out, you know.
Hype.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Can I see that for a second?
Pretty fun.
Who put these fanzines together? Usually.
Check it out.
Let's see.
Inside the front page, you might even know somebody.
Yeah.
And I have a whole bunch of
Okay, yeah, definitely.
whole bunch of
familiar
cassettes.
names.
I get a bunch of copies of all of them. Every time I see this at anywhere, Goodwill, record store, I always pick up Ace Frehley tapes.
Ooh, he's got something to show.
I just can't stop because if I see him for a few bucks, I'm going to buy it.
Check this out.
So I went to the Goodwill outlet in Tacoma. We call it the bins. And so they just throw a bunch of shit out in these bins and you get to rifle through and buy things by the weight. So I would buy so many cassettes and VHS up until just a few years ago. And I got home and I opened this cassette up and it was like, bam. It's got Ace and Billy Ward and everybody signing it.
Not to be bragging.
Cool.
I'm sitting next to a guy who has Billy Ward's autograph. That's right. Show that up close.
And that's Hogwarts, right?
Yeah, Hogwarts. Yeah.
So, pretty cool. And I didn't buy it. I mean, I probably got this for 6 cents because at the Goodwill bins, they just weigh it. So I had no idea it was signed because I just buy anything. Kiss, Ace Frehley, whatever it is, I buy it.
So obviously somebody went to an in-store and laid that out in front of them and they all signed it.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And it ended up, how did it end up in Tacoma though? Fraley's Comet never played Seattle
I'm not
or
sure.
the Northwest.
You know.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Then there's this guy.
Okay, so yeah, we wanted to kind of end.
And this came out before Second Sight.
Yeah, we kind of
You really blew that one. You really should have put Rock Soldiers out first.
This was like what held people over until Second Sighting came out. Until this glorious album cover came out. But this is their best album cover.
Actually it kind of is, yeah.
It's a cool shot.
Yeah.
You gotta like full stage shots like that. It's a live EP. I think Eddie Kramer did this too.
It's got a lot of drum soloing.
Did Eddie Kramer do this? I believe he did.
Produced by, recorded, Andy Johns.
Andy John. Okay, there's another legendary name.
He always gets good guys, huh?
Okay, yeah. So
Project coordinator John Reagan, Ed Trunk. Yeah.
Okay, so Rip It Out and Break Out on side one.
Yeah.
You know, both songs again with similar kind of breakdowns in them.
Yeah.
But this Breakout has a drum solo, doesn't it? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, resident drum expert.
Yeah. Yeah, I always loved it. I had this on cassette when it came out. Yeah, the EP is great, man. The EP is really great. And it's got 2 more tunes from the album. Or no, it's got 1 more tune from the album, but then it's got Rocket Ride. And it closes up with Words Are Not Enough, which is another non-album song.
Yeah, it's great, too.
Yeah.
Great song. Another non-album song that I think they recorded for the first album, which ended up being later on a compilation, is 1+1, which, it's all right. But also, Give It To Me Anyway is on some compilation as well, maybe that 12 Picks one. But it's a Richie Scarlett song, it's amazing. But yeah, that would be the Frehley's Comet discography, wouldn't it?
You know, it's kind of a bummer they didn't really get further with it because, you know, they were always kind of openers. Opening up for Maiden, opening up for, who else? Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
You know, I guess they left the Alice Cooper tour because Alice just didn't want to give more money and they were just losing money all the time, even though they were visible on the tour.
That's so Vinnie Vincent and Ace Frehley opened up for Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Right. Not White Tiger, though.
Nope, not White Tiger. Nope.
White Tiger, no way. No way would that happen.
And basically, for me anyway, I think this is the best non-Kiss album associated release.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Unless you count the 78 solos.
It's killer.
Yeah.
Ace has some great records of more recently, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Anomaly's great. There's some great ones, but this whole thing pretty much is great. You know?
When you want to listen to solo albums by Kiss members, you start with this. Trouble Walking is great too.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing and commenting and all that stuff. We love it all. And do you know what we're going to do next? Or should we discuss that afterwards?
I don't know.
You kind of mentioned...
Dark Side of the Moon?
You mentioned an album earlier.
This is putting me in a... Oh wait, let's do the Double Cosmos Carl Sagan album. I'm feeling that vibe. What do you think? What did I mention earlier? I don't remember. Oh, I love Crazy Nights.
Oh, he says he's on a Crazy Nights kind of kick. So
I'm in an 87 vibe personally. I could stay that way for probably another couple of weeks.
I might just have to put up with it. Okay, so yeah. Crazy Nights coming up in we're gonna say 2 weeks from now, right?
Yeah.
So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. And it's Peter and Jason signing off. Thank you.